Today we're crafting with butterflies. Keep watching. I'm Brandy and this is Making It My Own DIYs. Welcome back. The first project is a bordered round. I have some of these beautiful little butterfly magnets. They are black and gray. I've got some moss here. This is a moss mat. Some artificial tree branches, and they are wired. And then some mushrooms. I'm going to decide later which ones to use. So here's my thrifted piece that I have had for quite some time now, and I finally decided what to do with it. I love a thrift find like this. It's a great quality. So it's been sitting up a while. It's kind of dusty. I'm going to just take a little bit of cleaner and spray inside there and wipe it all down until the fingerprints and any dust is gone. Nice and clean. We always want to start off with a clean piece, especially when it's thrifted. You don't know what its previous life was, right? Then I'm going to take my artificial branches. I chose the artificial branches because I have them and I love the look of them, but also I can bend those. So I have a little more leniency with my design. But of course you can get branches from outside if you want to, So I like the way this looks. And I'd kind of envision this at an angle. So I'm just going to make this look like maybe this is one tree. One tree in the woods. Maybe on a hill. I'm going to use my glue and just sort of, put a good bit there. I want to make sure that it doesn't move around. It's going to take a minute or two for that to set up and become hardened. And then under the bigger part of the branches, I'll add some glue as well for stability. Now I'm going to add this moss mat. It's very stretchy, the material that's underneath. This came from Temu, but you can use any type of moss you have, and you can just, put it in by hand if you get a pack from Dollar Tree and just, but this just makes it a little bit quicker, and it's going to have a little bit different of a look. And now it looks like I wanted it to. It looks like it's on a hill, right? Kind of sideways, hanging over a hill or a little cliff. I love that. Just add glue where needed to push everything down and into place. And I want to make sure there's no gap between the moss and the side of this piece. I call this a wood, like a round, because it is round and it does have a border on it. But I'm not exactly sure what you would call this piece. What would you call this? I don't know. I really don't know. So I'm going to grab some of those mushrooms and I'm going to add them into the piece now, because I want this to be sort of a forest core or a forest kind of moody look in this particular project. These mushrooms are foam, so they can be very easily cut. I'm going to cut at a slant so they almost look like they are growing out of the side. Gives a little more dimension. And then I'll cut the other one too. You can see, just cut it a slant. That's easy. You can get mushrooms from the Dollar Tree, definitely. And you can use those. If they're too big, just cut them in half. Just use your foam knife and just cut them right in half. So I'm going to lay a couple of mushrooms down, and then I'll also put a little bit on the cap of the mushroom to stick it down to the background. I love the moss mats. I did a Temu haul probably last fall, maybe summer, where I bought a bunch of the moss mats, and they are beautiful. Okay, so these have a little magnet on the body right underneath. You've seen me use these butterflies in different projects. I think it was the wallpaper decor that I recently did. I used these butterflies as a tiny magnet in there, but it's pretty strong. But I decided to use these as, just like a sticker, like you would use a sticker or any applique. Just because it has a magnet doesn't mean it has to be used that way. We got to think outside the box when we have our pieces. So I'm going to add some hot glue after I kind of decide roughly where I want them to be, and I'll just start adding those down to the branches. This would also be really nice if you had moths. I think this would be really nice because it almost looks like it's nighttime with a black background. So moths would definitely be nice here. But this is more of a fantasy type piece, so I'm okay with it being black butterflies, right? Totally all right with that. I hope y'all are enjoying the butterfly projects. I've had a lot of requests for them, and that's why you've seen me doing a lot of them lately. Now, because these are flexible, you can really move these into different positions. You could have the wings up, you could have them spread out flat, and you can have them just slightly bent. So I'm showing you a variety of that all over this piece. They're all made the same. I'll add one to the bottom with its wings open, and at the top we'll add one like it is just resting there. Now, of course, you can stop at this point if you would like, but I'm going to add a little bit more because I always do, right? Always do. If you really like this decor and you like what you're seeing right now, I would love it if you would subscribe. My goal that I'm currently working on is 100,000 subscribers so I can get my silver play button by Halloween. Yeah, I'm going to have a little party. I'm going to do some giveaways and stuff like that when I reach my goal. So I would love for y'all to be part of that number if you enjoy these types of DIYs, because I make those. And I try to make it as budget friendly and unique as possible. So I've got some little scraps of fern here, and I'm going to add these here and there, give it a little more lushness. I love these particular ferns. These are thrifted, but they have kind of a lighter color tip than the bottom, which kind of gives that springtime vibe, and also to me sort of gives the filtered look of the light through the forest. You know how it's really dark and then there are little rays of sunshine that come through, that they break through, and you can see the lighter pieces, and I think that was perfect for this piece. And I hope you like it as much as I do. Think of all the ways that you can make this one your own. Different mushrooms or no mushrooms. Different moss. You could use a plain wood brown instead of one with sides on it. You could also do butterfly stickers. You could use colorful butterflies. You could use packages of the paper butterflies from Dollar Tree if you would like. You could use branches from your yard. You could use a floral pick instead of using a branch, right? You can do all those things. So if you like it, please consider giving me a thumbs up. All right, now the next one is a domed tree. I've got some little paper butterflies here. This came with a card making kit and a variety of color. I've got a little foam disc, some more of that mat. Here is the dome I'm going to use. I've used it in other projects. I'm going to use it again. It's about 12 inches tall, I think. And this is a branch I got from the yard, just right out of my driveway. I'm going to cut this branch into smaller pieces, and be sure you clean your dome, by the way. Get all the fingerprints and smudges off. And then I'm just going to work on cutting pieces of the branches that will fit inside of the dome, not too wide. That one's too big, so we're going to go for smaller pieces that don't reach out quite as far. And then anything that needs to be cut, you can cut, right? It's just a regular branch. You could even snap it off with your fingers if you wanted. But I like how this was actually a tree that was coming back to life in the spring, but a storm blew it down, so it didn't have a chance to fully bud. But you see how the ends are tapered? I like that. So now I'm going to take a bundle of the branches that I tested to make sure they fit. And since I know now that they do fit, I'll take some floral wire, and I'm going to twist all of these little branch pieces together. So this is going to almost look like the trunk of a small tree. We're just reforming that bigger branch into something smaller. All right, now I'm going to trim these at a slant so that they easily poke through that foam. Just cutting them at a slant. Now you can make yours blunt if you want to, but I like the sharp edge there. It's really going to pierce through that foam and do a good job for us. So using some of the double stick mounting tape, which by the way I've seen recently at Walmart, if you want to get yours at Walmart, I'm going to cut a piece off, and rather than using hot glue with this foam, we're going to use some of this mounting tape. I'm going to stick it down and then tap, 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 tap all over it so that it sticks to the disc underneath. And then I'll cut 2 more sections to go across that. And then I can put that foam disc right on top. I'm going to put it right in the center, and you need to be sure that you have enough room so when you place the top back on, the disc does not get in the way. But you can cut foam so easily, right? You can very easily cut it, but that is like perfecto, and I love it when it comes out like that. Now you can choose any type of flowers you want to put on your tree. This is not a realistic tree here. If you want it to be dogwood, maybe you could use a little dogwood. blooms, whatever you want to use. But I'm really loving yellow, so I'm going to grab some yellow flowers, some boxwood that I'm going to trim up. I've got some foam moss-covered stones, okay? And I'm going to use all those to bring this little tree to life. I left some of these intentionally in sets of 3. At the end of the dogwood branch, you'll see smaller little pieces. Wherever you get your little, not dogwood, boxwood, wherever you get your scraps, if you've got your little bowl of scraps, you can mix it up, put a little bit of everything on there. But on the tips of these, they grow a little bit smaller, so I'm going to put those on the tips of the tree. And I'm just going to add them here and there in different areas. I don't try to cover every branch with the leaf, and I don't try to just fill this tree completely up to the top, because for me the main focus is going to be on our butterflies, and I like the wood look underneath from the tree. So we're going to leave that where you can still see some of the tree. And then more toward the bottom and in other sections, I'll be adding some of these leaves just here and there. It's really easier if you get in a section where there's a split in the branch, so that you have a little more to have that cling to. Use a cool temp glue when you do this if you're not protecting your fingers. You still should protect your fingers, but I'd worked a lot that day. You see the stain on my fingers? I had a lot of projects going on, so, do as I say, not as I do. That's probably the better practice. All right, so I'm just going to add these here and there. And maintaining my fingertips and my fingerprints, I'm going to go around and add wherever I think I like it. You'll always see me when I'm crafting, turn my project side to side and then tilt it and look at it. Okay, so here's a different piece of that foam mat. It's a different type. It's thinner. I'm going to cut that into a circle. I'm just going to kind of help myself with a white marker on the back side of the moss, so I have an idea of how much I want to cut out. But ideally, you want to be cutting on the inside of your line, so it'll be small enough to go over the top. How are we going to attach this? We'll cut it down one side, just like a tree skirt on a Christmas tree. You cut it toward the center, just about half of it. It's going to look like Pac-Man, and then you're going to put it right around your tree. Look at that. Bellissimo. Now you can just add some glue here and there. It doesn't take a lot, and if you're using, your cool temperature, it's okay. It's not going to melt anything. It should be good to go. But you're going to do what's best for you, right? And if you have individual little pieces of moss, then you just glue those on with a little Mod Podge or some school glue, however you want to do it. Now I'm going to take my black. Since the bottom of this mat is black, I'm just going to use some black chalkboard paint from Dollar Tree and go around the bottom so that it looks like earth, a very rich, dark, deep earth underneath of that. It blends into the base, and I think it's a good look. You could also do brown if you wanted it to look like dirt, but I'm good with the black. Oh, I went with the peach flowers, not the yellow. Okay, so I'm putting those peach flowers all over. And I'm just going to add them here and there, all over this little tree. This is a tiny little budding tree. It's a fantasy tree, right? I'm going to spread my little flowers out so they look pretty. And remember the little trick, you can add some heat on the back side of your flower to fluff it out if you need to, unfold anything. This is a thrifted pick that I had, but you can get your stuff from Dollar Tree, certainly. And you can also get your scrap bucket for this, right? Get your scraps out. Now I'm going to take some of those moss-covered stones, which I do believe you can get at Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to add those around the base of the tree, just because I like it. It's not covering anything up. Nothing need to be covered or wire, and everything is good. And this is how it looks so far. This is going to be a piece that is mainly focused in one direction. Now, if you want this to be something you can see, like if you wanted to sit it in the middle of the table, be sure that some of the flowers are facing the opposite direction. Mine will be sitting up here on my display shelf. So for the butterflies, I'm going to take the back end of a paintbrush, put it in the center over the body, and just fold over that. That's going to give us a flat area that's a little bit wider than just folding it completely in half, and a good strong base to add the glue so we can stick these down on the flowers. Now you just fun part, you just choose what butterfly you want to be where and just start adding those down. You can open the wings up farther. You can leave the wings flat. However you want to do yours is going to be absolutely perfect. Because remember, we're all about making it our own on this channel. I'm not going to tell you that what you do is wrong, right? Just like y'all don't tell me what I'm doing is wrong. A lot of people tell me what they would do differently, and that is perfectly okay because that's what I encourage you to do. Just make it your own. Just do it the way you like it. Look at all these beautiful little butterflies and all these different colors, and they're all happily just sitting on all of these flowers. This makes my heart happy, y'all. Makes my heart so happy. All right, now we're going to take that dome and we're going to gently put that down. If you need a stick or something to put in there to flatten your flowers back out, then you can definitely do that. Sometimes we need a little help, and if anything is bumping the top, just trim it off a little bit. So I'm kind of playing around with mine until I make sure that no butterflies are injured in the making of the video and that everything fits nicely. And I absolutely love this. It's not taxidermy. We didn't hurt anything, but we made it look special and unique on a budget. Think of all the different ways that you can make this one your own. You can use all of the same butterfly. You could use one solid piece instead of a lot of branches. You can certainly do this any way you like. Love it. The next project is the Tree of Life. Yes, the much anticipated Tree of Life. Now this came from Temu. It's just a metal, like a hanging sign. It's 11 inches. Got some little birds on the tree branches. We're going to cover them up. And then this is the wreath that we're going to be using. I'm going to use some rope, a couple of shades of brown paint. As long as one is dark and the other one's a little lighter, it doesn't matter what shades you use. I'm going to use green, a darker and a lighter shade. And then I'm going to use a bunch of brushes. I have butterfly buttons here. You can use butterfly buttons, you could use stickers, whatever you like. After you've made that selection and put them aside, we're going to start painting. So this is like a matte black metal, and I want to color this some because it's springtime, we want to color. This would definitely be beautiful if you left it black and only put butterflies on it, just use it as a background if that's what you want to do, but I want to give you options for those of you who don't care for just black and white or just the rustic look. So I'm going in making sure I touch all the branches with the brown. I'm going to dry this because there's a lot of little parts in here and I don't want to smudge anything when I go to the next color. It's all dried. And then I'm going to go in and start adding the second layer of paint, and I'm just sort of dry brushing this brown all over the branch parts and all over the ring that goes around the tree. All over it. And you can add as much or as little as you want. If you add too much, you can always go back in after it dries and add a little more dark to the top. I love the texture that this seems to give to it and the variety in the color, because a real tree is rarely just one color. Dry it all, and then I'm moving on to my green. This is a matte green color. I think it's an ivy, and I'm going to use that first over the black. And I'm going to go over all of the leaves. I'm not just going down the leaf, but I'm also going to go down part of that little stem piece that connects the leaf to the branch. So you can see what I'm doing here, sort of so it blends in just a little bit. And we're going to do that all the way around, and then I'm going to dry it. If y'all need a link to anything you see in this video, let me know and I'll be happy to add it. Otherwise, this is not a sponsored video. These Temu videos that I have been doing, they are not sponsored, and if they are sponsored, I will always let you know. But yeah, I don't put all the links and things in there unless it's asked for, because a lot of people choose not to use Temu. So just wherever you want to get your projects from. And by the way, it doesn't have to be metal. If you can find this in wood, you can do the same exact thing. right? So while everything is drying on there, I am going to start on my wreath. Now this is very simple. All I'm going to do is just tie this around. If you have a different technique for the same results, you go ahead and do it. But I'm just going to tie this around, and I'm going to wrap it all the way around the wreath until I get back to my starting point. Very easy, but if you've never done it, this is what we do. I keep focusing on pushing that knot under, under, under. I don't want to just glue it because it may come loose as I am wrapping it. You don't want to squeeze your rope too tight. You want to keep it flat, but don't squeeze it or you can deform and snap your wreath. It's a metal wreath, but it will break if you're not careful. So what happens if you run out of rope? Because mine was thrifted and it was cut in pieces instead of one entire roll, which I wasn't aware of. I'm going to make a knot on the new piece and slip it right inside the rings and glue it on the inside. Then I can trim off the little extra piece and continue around till I get back to the starting point, gluing everything to the back. I'm just going to press that down with a stick, and then here is that wreath form. And we're going to put this right in the middle. So I am going to attach this by just using a little bit of jute. You can use floral wire or whatever you want, but since this is kind of a sort of a rustic, I guess, look, I decided that I would want to do it this way. I'm just going to go around the wreath, around the top, almost center of that tree, tie it in a knot with a jute, slide that knot to the back, and then work on the next section. I'm going to just push a little section apart in the rope, tie that around, and continue all the way around. So you can, if you have more rope left, you can attach this with the rope, and that would help fill in any gaps that you might still have in your wreath. But you know, jute is good. Jute will work fine for this. So we're doing a north, south, a east, and a west. This is going to hold everything in place. Nothing's going to slide around. When you're done with that, go to the knotted areas and cut off all of your excess because, you know, we don't need all that hanging down. We want it to be nice and neat. What a beautiful wreath on the backside, right? You could hang this on a glass door and it would still be pretty. So this rope is a little bit rough. It had a lot of shagginess. You can do the lighter trick if you want. I choose not to do that, but I did put my heat tool close to it and it did get rid of some of those little fringes. You just got to be careful because you know it's a fire hazard, so be careful. Now I'm going to use a little bit of glue on my buttons and I'm going to start adding in butterflies all over this tree. There are going to be so many butterflies on this tree in the end. And this is really just to your imagination. You can put whatever color in whatever place. And by the way, y'all can get the little wooden appliques at Dollar Tree and you can paint those and use them on your tree if that's something that you would like to do. Continue along. Y'all, the information for the Crafty Cruise Getaway 2025 is in the description box below. We would love to meet y'all on the next cruise. Continue. And I like kind of working with one color or one pattern at a time so I get them spaced out so nothing is too close to each other. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about while I'm doing this, but there's really no particular pattern. You see me kind of moving it around here and there. I also want to be sure that since there are birds on there, and that's not what I want to focus on in this video, that I'm putting a butterfly on top of where the birds are. I bet y'all could use stickers and hot glue for this project as well, or even the little paper butterflies. Now I'm just kind of going over this to get rid of all the glue because there was so much hot glue used for this that there's little strings everywhere. And then I'll go back in and just fill out, you know, whatever places I want to fill it out. And so there are no flowers in this piece, but because there's so much color in the butterflies, I think it makes it look so bright and beautiful. So how are we going to hang this? We're just going to make some gaps right here in that rope. Take another little piece of rope, kind of feed it through there to the back side. But you could definitely hang this wreath right off of itself. You know, hang, if you've got a nail hanging out of the wall, just push it in there and it should stay for you. Ooh, y'all, I went outside yesterday and the pollen is crazy. My ears are itching me like I don't know what. I'm trying not to scratch my ears right now. Whew, It's amazing. I have not coughed or sniffled through the whole video. Hallelujah. Now we have a hanger. You see how easy that was? And look at this pretty piece. I'm just wondering which one of these you like best, and I think number 1 is probably my favorite. But I like them all, and they all have a special place in my heart. And there are 3 different styles. You know, this one in particular is a little bit of everything, I think. You can make this on a smaller scale. I hope that you're inspired by this, and I hope that you're going to try something like this. Maybe you could even use a stick on the inside of this and make it even more dimensional. That would be pretty as well. Thank you so much for stopping by today and visiting my channel. If you enjoyed this video, I would love for you to click on this rectangle because I think you're going to like this one too. See you soon. Bye.